Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeleine, this is Made with Books. This is Daniel, you've seen him in the first part of this Q&A that is questions aimed at him and not at me. And yeah, we're back with the second part. Do you want a difficult question to start us off, or do you want a light-hearted one?
How many easy ones and how many difficult ones are there to come?
Probably about the same.
Well, then let's just start with a difficult one.
Okay, start with a difficult one. Okay, so how much was Luther, so Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, Martin Luther, anti-Semitic?
Well, I'm not a big expert on Martin Luther either, but from what I have...
I don't know, if anybody doesn't know who Martin Luther was, he was an important religious figure, I think.
Yeah, he started the Reformation.
He pretty much started the Protestant church, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he criticized the Catholic Church with his 99 theses that he had nailed on a church door, and that pretty much started the whole movement of Reformation, which led to the splitting of the Christian church in Western Europe and of course to the founding of the Protestant church.
Yes,
yeah.
But the question is, how much was he anti-Semitic?
Well, I've heard that he wasn't an anti-Semite, but rather an anti-Judaist, which is a difference, because an anti-Semite would hate Jews with more of a ethnic or racist intention behind his hatred, whereas the anti-Judaist is only against Jews who profess Judaism as a religion. So once someone would convert from Judaism to Christianity, that would be fine for an anti-Judaist, whereas for an anti-Semite, of course, the race would still be the same.
But yeah, it's really basically, I mean, it's still a hate for Jews, but yeah, I looked it up too, because I went there too.
I think that differentiation still has to be made, but still,
one hatred is based on the religion, whereas the other hatred is based on the ways or ethnicity of the...
Yeah, I mean, it's both horrible, but I still think it's important to make the distinction, because it's two different things, simply.
Yeah, but yeah, he was one, I mean...
As far as I know, in his writing there were a lot of very, not
strong
critical, but really hateful
tendencies.
Comments. Yeah.
I think we might want to answer some of the other questions from Time and Chance. This was one from Time and Chance, by the way, because they kind of tie in with that. One was Luther's Sola Scriptura Tene a lie, and I had to look that up because I don't know if you know what that means, but did you look it up?
I overlooked that.
Oh, okay. So let me tell you. So Sola Scriptura is basically, or basically from what I understand, was Martin Luther's idea that you should only focus on the Bible and you don't need somebody explaining it or giving it to you. So like cutting out of the church as a middleman, I guess.
Which is the idea of the core idea of Protestantism.
That you just
Catholicism,
exactly
that you have a more direct relationship to God and the Bible too.
Yeah. So that's basically the idea. And the question is it a lie in your opinion?
Is it a lie that you don't need a mediating instance between...
I guess that's the question.
I don't know if you can think about that in terms of being true or lie. It's probably a question.
Or do you think like Luther was lying when he said you don't need that? Like, was it his... Did he really believe that?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think you can... Yeah, I don't think you can think about that in terms of it being a lie or not being a lie. I think it just depends on your approach to religion. Whether you're religious or Christian in the first place, and if you prefer to have the Bible explained to you by someone else or interpreted to you, or whether you prefer to do that on your own, I think both approaches are completely valid and acceptable.
What do you think works for you? Because you've been baptized,
but
you're not that religious, I guess.
No, not really, no. I don't know. Probably a mixture of both. I mean, I like to have my own ideas, but it's also always interesting and enriching to see what other people think of a text in general. I think the Bible is just a literary text as many others, and
I think the Bible can be read in so many ways and has been read in many ways, and sometimes is being read in ways that are used to discriminate against certain groups.
Definitely, yeah. But I think there are also a lot of...
So I think in that sense it might be helpful to have somebody tell you that that's not the case. or it shouldn't be read that way in any way.
Yeah.
And along the same lines as well, was another question about Richard Wagner, who was a German composer. And the question was how much his anti-Christian writing was suppressed. And I actually had no idea there was anti-Christian writing by Richard Wagner. I know he was an anti-Semitic, or anti-Semite. But I don't know if he had anti-Christian writing. Do you know about that?
I overlooked that question.
You overlooked that question as well. Okay, so sorry, time and chance. I don't know if we can answer that question. I think he was definitely an anti-Semite. I don't think there's any way around this. He published something about Jewish people in the music and stuff, and that was apparently very hateful. And he actually drew on Martin Luther to support his claims.
Okay, which is a bit ironic if you also had anti-Christian writing.
So I don't know if you really like.
Maybe he just didn't like.
Time and chance, please comment about what his anti-Christian writing was, because we really don't know, but it would be interesting to find out.
Sorry for these really unqualified answers.
It would just be nice to chat about it in the comments. I'd be curious to know. Okay, we're gonna do something a little more lighthearted now.
Okay, sure.
Madison from the Reading Wayfarer wants to know, how does your reading influence your writing?
Yeah,
because you also write literary fiction.
That's true, I do. I think my reading definitely influences my writing, maybe a bit too much sometimes, because sometimes, or usually when I read, I always take a look at how text is written, what the underlying poetics or logic of the book actually is. And yeah, if I start writing then at the same time, I sometimes catch myself somehow trying to emulate the style of the book that I'm currently reading, if I think it's a good book. And then afterwards, when I revise my writing, I sometimes have to get that out again, because it's just not my style of writing. But hopefully, in the end, there would be a good mixture of both, that I might pick up on good things that I stumbled upon in my reading, without corrupting my own style too much with that.
Yeah. I think it's still beneficial. I mean, how can you write if you don't read literature yourself?
Yeah. You need to have a certain background, but yeah, I still think at the same time you need to have this background.
But you also have to find your own voice.
Yeah, you have to be free of that background at the same time. It's the very thin line that you have to find in your writing, I think.
Okay, Madison also wanted to know if we have similar reading tastes. Do you think we do? I think to a certain extent.
Yeah, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't.
I mean, if you think about the genres we read, I think we read the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like we both read a lot of classics and literary fiction, probably some contemporary fiction as well. So in that sense, we definitely read the same stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes I think you like the more human or emotional writing a bit more than I do, whereas I tend to be more of this cynical intellectual type.
Basically, I'm more the more accessible one of the two of us.
Yeah, whereas I'm the grumpy guy with the glasses in the corner.
You just want to come off like that. Come on, you're not.
I'm not. No. But I still find it funny when people are, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Apart from that,
I don't know, but I don't think, I mean, your very favorite books, I like them, but I don't love them, and I think the same way around.
Yeah.
You like my very favorite books, the ones you have read, and the ones I've read of yours, but we don't necessarily love the same books.
Yeah.
So, sort of along the same lines, but not quite.
Yeah, there's some overlapping, but also some areas where we are
some grey zones.
where we are independent of each other, which I think is good. I mean, we have a lot of overlapping ground that we can discuss about, but we still have things of our own.
Okay, along the same lines, questions by Brian from Bookish and from Summer Dawn, and Brian is asking what books and authors do the two of us disagree the most about, and someone wants to know what book we both loved, what book you loved that I didn't, and what book I loved that you didn't. So I think people want to see some discontent, some disagreement.
You just want to start.
We just want to start a fight, just go at it with the books. I'm like, no! So, Der Untergeher by Thomas Bernhard. The English title is The Loser. And you really like this.
Yeah, it's actually one long complaint, or a person who is just very angry and is making fun of a lot of things.
It was a piano player though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about Glenn Gould and this imaginary person who went to the same musical school as Glenn Gould, the famous Canadian pianist of the 20th century.
I just remember reading this, but to be fair, I read this when I was a teenager and I think I was too young for the book. I read it when I was maybe. Probably 16 or something. And this is a really short book, but it was just repetition upon repetition. I think that's just Thomas Bernhard's style. But at the time, well, I probably picked up on it, but I just didn't enjoy it. But I do want to reread this at some point and see what I think of it now.
I think there is a lot of repetition, but I think that creates a certain comic effect, that it somehow gets funny how this person cannot let go of things.
I think my sense of humor has shifted since I was 16, so maybe I was back then I was like, nah, you're just annoying.
Yeah, you might try it again, yeah. I don't know if I would have liked it when I was 16. I think I read it when I was 25.
So like almost 10 years later in terms of like, because we're the same age, so so that's one we probably disagree about, Brian. Then what book have we both loved? And you picked this one.
Yeah, Kazuo Ishiguro, The Remains of the Day, this very famous novel about this butler who looks back on his time working at Darlington Hall for his landlord, who actually, or his lord, his how do you call that, superior, his boss, who actually was quite involved with the Nazis back at that time, and yeah, he's an unreliable narrator. He doesn't really give us all the information. He's not being totally honest, but we still can infer from what he says and what he doesn't say that his lord was involved with the Nazis. And it's also the story of a love which is never fulfilled because he never...
Are you spoiling this massively now?
Oh, yeah, I might be. Yeah,
maybe I have to put like a spoiler disclaimer in the video at some
point.
We
just leave that out.
No, it's fine, we'll leave it in, it in. But yeah, I don't know, I've read this twice, it breaks my heart every time.
Oh, you read it twice?
I've read it twice.
Oh, I only read it once.
And like, at both times I was in tears by the end.
Yeah,
so
really,
I think that speaks for the novel.
It's really beautifully written, yeah.
I definitely want to read more. It's the only book by Ishiguro I've read so far.
And I
have plans to read Never Let Me Go this year, so there we go.
Yeah.
I picked another one for this that we both loved, which is Ivan Alexandrovich Goncharov's Oblomov, a big fat Russian classic, which in this translation clocks in it's 799 pages, so we barely would have made it for Marching of the Mammoth with this one, and we actually read this book to each other.
Yeah,
which took us, 3 years? Was it 3 years?
I think so, but I mean there were a lot of breaks in between.
Yeah, to be fair, we didn't like read it every day or something.
Yeah.
But we both really loved this.
Yeah.
And this is basically just a guy who cannot get out of bed.
Yeah.
I mean, that if you sum up the story, that's basically it.
That's it, yeah, he cannot get out of bed. I think by page 400 or something he makes it out of bed.
Yeah, you have some hope for him at some point. And I mean, let's not give away the ending.
Yeah, no, we won't. Yeah, but he's this very melancholy, phlegmatic
character, Yeah, we both really enjoyed this, but probably also because we read it to each other.
Yeah.
But now we're reading Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes together. And you probably will hear about this in 3 years' time when we finished it?
5.
Probably 5 years, because we're only reading the first part right now and there's a second, so... Those are the ones we both love. A book you have loved that I didn't, again, would probably be The Loser by Thomas Bernhard, so one we disagree about. And a book that I loved that you didn't, probably...
But I liked it. It's not that I didn't like it, I just didn't love it as much.
You just didn't love it as much as I did. But we both have a copy of it.
Yeah.
It's The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers, which is my, second favourite book of all time. And you just liked it. And we're still together.
Maybe I did.
You haven't read Wuthering Heights yet by Emily Bronte, my all-time favourite, so I'm just curious to see where you land with that one.
That's true.
There's room for some contention there, I bet. if you end up not liking it.
I think I will like that. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But you still liked it. You just didn't love it as much as I did you?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit, I don't know, a bit slowly going at some points. It could have been a bit more, I don't know.
See, for me, that was the thing though. The slow, the slow character building, and then that's just the build up to the end.
Yeah.
Same with Remains of the Day. That's a slow book too.
Maybe maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it. Maybe I have to give it another go.
I'll just force you to reread
because
it now.
I read it in Nice while I was lying at the swimming pool and everything in the sun in southern France. Maybe that was not the right context.
You're making our life sound very extravagant right now. I was reading this in southern France at the pool.
Yeah. Now that you say it. We kind of do that.
We'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's pick another more tricky question from Time and Chance. Or actually, their last two questions. So, Norman Rockwell's art was one question. And the question was Norman Rockwell's art just Saturday Evening Post propaganda? Did you look that one up? Did you also miss that question?
Yeah, but where were all these questions? I just saw the one
Did you go
about
to
Ezra
see
Pound and
more?
Shakespeare.
Because you can click on see more and then you see the full text.
I just saw
didn't see the
Ezra
rest of the
Pound and
question.
Shakespeare and What is Justice, but not
So do you know Norman Rockwell though?
No, I don't.
Okay, so basically he was an artist and he was, I had to look it up too. I mean, I knew the name, but I wasn't familiar with his art. But basically he was just accused of being more an illustrator than an artist because a lot of his art was just like showing how great the American lifestyle is, and he did for like the Saturday Evening Post, he did a lot of like covers, and it's very like this homely style, you know, the family dinner or the little boy and his dad at the baseball game, stuff like that. So the question is, was he a propagandist? But I don't know. If you don't have an opinion, we could just skip it.
I think you can also just like things without being a propagandist.
But like, was he propagating a certain lifestyle with this art, do you think?
Yeah.
In a way. Or at least putting it forward. But he was actually later...
Consciously maybe, but I don't think... I mean, I don't know if it was his intention.
He called himself... He was actually okay with people calling him an illustrator and not an artist. He called himself an illustrator. At least that's what I read. The brief synopsis of him I read online. But he later had a painting called The Problem We All Live With, and that was about the whole desegregation of the schools, and Ruby Bridges, this little African-American girl who was being walked to an all-white school and surrounded by like white, I think, officers, and like, so he was addressing social issues later on, and he was praised for that.
Okay.
So I guess maybe he had a change of heart, or I don't know, change in his art, or hadn't earned enough with his more popular art. So not really an answer there. I think this one you probably haven't seen either, but I think you can give an answer even if you have no background knowledge. Is, should civilized society allow A, polygamy, and B, child marriage? Why or why not?
Polygamy, I would say yes. I mean, if it's between consenting adults, why not? I mean, there might be some legal questions. I mean, or actually not. I was thinking about if, for example, one person passes away, and then usually everything would be bequeathed to the spouse. And I suppose if there are 5 spouses, it can just be divided among them.
Between them.
Yeah. So I think that would work. I mean, why not? Yeah.
I agree, as long as it's between consenting adults. So what about child marriage then?
So if you define child marriage in terms of...
So child marriage in the sense that there's a child and an adult involved. At least that's what I'm assuming is the question.
No, that's definitely not okay, I would say. Because children cannot make this decision, and especially should not be married to an adult who makes that decision just for the child. That's, I think, very wrong on many levels.
Now that we have the political stuff, let's end on a literary question. And the last question was from Jason from All Blues Chapter and Verse. And by the way, I will link down below to all of the channels that that we've mentioned. And Jason wants to know, what's your opinion of Charles Dickens?
Yeah, I like Charles Dickens. I think, I just enjoy the way he develops stories, even though of course sometimes you have these coincidences which are a bit unlikely to happen. But I really enjoy the way he depicts people too. I think that's oftentimes very, very funny, how he makes fun of people, but never in a malicious way, but always in a somehow good-hearted way, if you can say that. Sometimes I think he's a bit accused of being too straightforward, or that he doesn't include the bleak aspects of life enough in his writing. Maybe does that in Bleak House. I have to admit I haven't read that yet.
Oh, he definitely does it in Hard Times. I mean, he's talking
Yeah.
about industrialization there and
Yeah.
the effects. But he does have bleak aspects in almost all his books, doesn't he? He always has poor people or people that are struggling.
Yeah, but it's
twists and everything.
always this black and white somehow. I think.
Oh, you mean like that he doesn't have such nuanced characters?
Yeah, I
or
think, for
like he has the
example,
good characters and the bad characters.
I think there Thackeray might be the better author, that he has more sense for the grey areas of life, also in characters. But I still enjoy reading Charles Dickens.
I'm kind of like stopping you right now from reading Charles Dickens, though, aren't I? We're supposed to read, we're not reading it to each other, but we wanted to read it at the same time and chat about it, Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. But because I haven't picked it up in ages, Daniel has to wait for me to catch up.
Yeah, you have to do that.
So I have to do that.
Yeah.
So we end on that note, I guess.
Read Little Dorrit now.
And you will have to reread The Heart is a Lonely Hunter.
True, yeah.
And then I'll have to reread The Loser, and then we'll just be in an endless loop of reading.
Oh gosh.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
And maybe I'll have you on again. We'll see.
Sure.
See how the general public takes to you.
Okay.
No,
Please
just
don't
kidding.
kill me.
If Danny doesn't show up again, be worried. No. Okay, well that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and
thank you.
next time it will just be me, but I hope you still watch, and bye.
Bye.
Hi guys, and welcome. Sorry. Just drink, I will film after.